All right, guys, unpacking this article that I stumbled across on Friday. I don't know if anybody in the audience has really seen it. The Guardian published a top 100 best male footballers in the world of 2022. And there's a lot that I think is wrong with it, but we're going to go ahead and unpack it. Let's go to the resident Manchester United fan, because I definitely want to hear what he thinks. Andrew, man, we're going to get to your intros here in a second, but anything that you see in this list, man, there's a lot going on. Is there anything that just stands out automatically right off the bat?
Yeah, for me, this might frustrate you, but I'm not going to put Messi as number one, and I'm not even going to put Ronaldo as number one. I don't think that based on what they've done in the game for, 2 decades now, is enough to merit them like saying that they're the current best players in the game. I think Messi is a baller and has done well somewhat at PSG, and obviously finally won the World Cup with Argentina. But just because of that, I don't think that, like, if you just look at him based on form, his season, etc., that makes him the best, like, current 2022 football in the world. So I don't really.
But he is the GOAT, though. He is the GOAT, though.
I don't like that debate.
We'll have it. We'll have the debate, guys. So everybody knows he mentioned Messi being one. That the top 10 as it reads from 1 to 10. Messi at 1, Kylian Mbappe at 2, Benzema at 3, Haaland at 4, which is interesting to me, especially now knowing what we know in the first weeks of 2023. Luka Modric at 5, Kevin De Bruyne at 6, Lewandowski at 7, Vinicius Jr. at 8, Courtois at 9, the only keeper of the top 10, and Mohamed Salah at 10. I actually have a massive problem with Mo Salah being included at number 10. But again, Andrew, you were saying Messi doesn't belong there. Is there anybody else that just stands out?
I mean, Benzema just, I felt like at the throughout 2022, well, the spring season, that January into May, he was just on fire. No one could touch him. And I feel like he's been doing that for a while now. Ever since Ronaldo left, Benzema's kind of taken on that mantle. I don't know if I'd consider him number one. I just think that, like, based on form, like his tally, he's at one of the best clubs in the world doing his thing. I think Luka Modric absolutely blew my mind at the World Cup, the amount of ground he can cover and how he dictates play. For me, I think he's still underrated somehow, even though he won the Ballon d'Or a couple years ago. So I think he'd be more in contention, honestly, to be
for a one spot,
1 or 2, maybe.
Ooh, interesting. Alina, we talked about Mo Salah a little bit. We'll get to that. Yeah. Do you have Messi as 1 or somebody else up there for you?
Man, it's tough because I feel like this article is very influenced by, like, recency bias.
Yes, very.
Which is hard
recent.
Because I also agree that Messi, I think overall in the year of 2022, doesn't deserve to be first, but I think winning the World Cup puts him there. But yes, like I said, I don't think. I also have an issue with KDB being in
top 10.
So, I think top 10 is fine, but I wouldn't put him top 6. I would probably put him maybe 8th or 9th. I know he had a good season with City overall, or like, in the first half of the year. But the guy couldn't do anything for Belgium in the World Cup, so that's kind of what I'm basing my opinion on.
He was really bad.
Yeah.
The whole Belgian team was really bad, actually.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy how bad they were. I was telling Alina, guys, before we started, the Mo Salah inclusion, it rubs me the wrong way. I feel like we're looking at Mo Salah of, like, yesteryear, of like 2019 and 2021. Mo Salah was phenomenal. Yeah. 2022, I think he struggled in a way we've never seen it. And I don't have a problem with him being top 100, obviously, but top 10 when you have guys like beneath him, Mane, Neymar, Harry Kane, Jude Bellingham, Casemiro. I can argue that every one of those 5 players I just mentioned probably had a better year overall than Mo Salah. Egypt didn't go to the World Cup. Liverpool didn't go on to win those trophies they were going after for the quadruple. He got his massive extension. Maybe that's what what got him over the top. I don't know. I just thought 10 was really, really lofty.
Yeah,
But
I agree
with
with
that
you.
said, I mean, that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the 24 and 25, Phil Foden and Jamal Musiala, both fantastic young talents that obviously they're both at two huge clubs with really good rosters, but so is Mo Salah, and I think Phil Foden and Musiala have done more respectively, at least as especially in the latter half of 2022. I just feel like Mo doesn't really light it up anymore, and it doesn't really. I don't know if it's because the squad's changed around him too much, or if he's just getting tired. It's tough to be at the top of your game like that for so long.
I like how you picked Foden and Musiala, but we're going to leave out Bukayo Saka at 22. I mean, the guy has been just a mainstay in that Arsenal lineup as a 20-year-old man. I mean, as a United fan, is that what it was, or do you really think he hasn't been that impactful?
No, I love Saka. Saka's phenomenal. I just was looking for Phil Foden, and because I was like Foden, like he's left-footed. He plays at a club similar in stature to Liverpool, and I was like, I think that he, for example, has done better. And then I saw Musiala right next to him. I was like, I mean, Musiala's unreal. So
he is. He's so good. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up on this, I mean, is there anybody here? I'm just kind of curious. Is there anybody here? And I have my guy, but I'm curious to see who you guys say that shouldn't be in this top 100. That it's amazing that they're even included in this. And I'll give you guys mine so we can unpack it really quickly and then move on. But mine, I have no idea, and he shouldn't even be in here yet. He's in the 60s, which makes no sense to me. But Hakeem Ziyech, I have no idea what he's doing here. I haven't seen this man perform for anybody other than Morocco, which means that he performed for 10% of the season of all of 2022 last year. So like what? I just want to know what the criteria was. Like, why did we feel the need to include this man? And granted, it's the picture of him in his Morocco jersey, thankfully.
Yeah.
But I can't think of anything he's done for Chelsea. They don't even play him anymore. It just blows my mind that he's in here.
Are we allowed to pull out people that we don't think should be in there?
I that's what I did. I personally don't think he belongs in there, and which means that there's so much to me that's wrong with this list. But again, that's my pick. I don't know if there's someone else that you guys see you're just baffled by.
Yeah, I don't watch enough of La Liga, but anytime I've seen Real Madrid play, Militao scares the heck out of me.
In a good way or a bad way?
In a bad way. He's so sus in the back. Like he does some wild stuff.
I think he was naturally a right back when he first kind of came up and became a center back over time.
Mm-hmm. He just does he just has some wild decision making back there.
He's still young,
Honestly.
man. He's still young. I feel you on that one, though. I'm a Barca fan, so you don't have to convince me that Militao's not worthy of this lineup. I'm sure Andre would disagree.
I'm gonna throw something up there where I think I'm a Chelsea guy, and I think Thiago Silva should be a bit higher than 75, if I'm being honest.
Oh, you know what? That's actually a great point because
he's been such just a rock. Like I'm watching more Chelsea football than I am any other club for sure. So obviously I'm biased in two different fronts because I'm watching more Chelsea than anyone else, and also because I'm a Chelsea fan. But there's just something about him. Like you have him, in your back line, and you just know this guy's gonna like make the right decision. I'm not saying he's the quickest, but he's just something about cutting the ball off. Like he's always going to be there. He's like the modern day John Terry. You know what I'm saying? Which I love. I absolutely love.
With a better touch, because John Terry was a great defender, but his touch wasn't always there.
But anyways, I'm surprised he's at 75. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, and look, behind Militao, and look, there's some other center backs here, and you can tell they're included because of World Cup bias, right?
Sure.
So let's just look at that line. So Christian Romero, okay, look, he's a Spurs guy, so I'm not going to shit on him too much. I think at the end of the day, he's a slide god. He is great, has a fantastic slide tackle, but his decision making is very sus for me, and I think Spurs have been punished a lot this season, even in 2022 because of it. So I don't know about him. Marquinhos from PSG is always included in these lists. He's at 65.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea why. Like maybe I don't watch PSG enough, but I see him with Brazil, and I'm just like, I don't.
I kind of like him, to be honest.
What's that?
I kind of like him, to be honest.
But okay, so tell me why. People always say this. I kind of like him. Okay, cool. Just give me some logic, because I don't know why.
At first I was like, who the heck is this guy when I watched him play? And the more I've like deliberately watched him play, because similar to you, I see him a lot in like when people have marketing campaigns or whatever, he features a lot in them. So you want to understand why. And I was just watching him more. I just think he's really composed back there. I think he's got great feet for sometimes a center back, sometimes he plays a six, but yeah. I just think he's really composed. I've seen him make some insane tackles in one-on-one situations, and then his distribution out of the back is always really nice. But yeah, also Lautaro Martinez should not be on this list. I've just saw him on 70.
Oh yeah, there he is. There he is. I was like, where is he on this
list?
list?
World Cup, man. I was like, how's this guy on the national team? Like, oh my goodness. There's so much hype around him too, I feel like, at Inter.
Well, I mean, Alina knows, right? At Inter, was he lights out? Is he like the clinical striker that he wasn't at Argentina?
Well, he did get a couple goals in either one goal or one assist, like last game. So that's what I'm going based off of. But not really. I wouldn't say he deserves to be. Is he what, 70?
70?
70. Yeah, I wouldn't say he's 70. Maybe like 90s, but I wouldn't put him that high.
Yeah.
Just because he was part of, as you guys mentioned, the Argentina winning team, which is the same thing with Otamendi for me too. It's a lot of recency bias here. I'm not a big fan of Otamendi.
Yeah, I'm not either, to be honest. And like, if I'm building a team,
squeaked in.
Yeah,
he just squeaked in. If I'm building a team though, and I'm picking like between, let's say, Darwin Nunez and Lautaro, I'm picking Darwin like all day, every day. Right. Even with the year that he's had, and Darwin's listed at 82 while Lautaro's listed at 70. I don't know. It's just it's interesting. Whoever decided to draft all of these players the way that they did. Marcus Rashford at 58. That one's interesting.
Yeah.
He was
Stewart
kind of informed.
Should be a little higher too, I think.
Hey, I was thinking the same thing. He had a stellar World Cup, honestly.
Stellar World Cup, and he produces for his club.
He
team
does.
Too.
He's just one of those guys that's like finding the spots in the right place, right time. Like that's what you want a proper striker to be.
Then you got Cody Gakpo at 50. Jury's still out on him, I feel like.
It kind of has to be. We haven't seen him turn up yet, but he didn't have. You have to remember it's like his PSV form, I guess, because he still wasn't at Liverpool, right?
True,
so
yeah.
His PSV form. I mean, he scored against Arsenal. I'll take it. I guess the only big team they played. Like they played everybody in the Eredivisie, and they had Europa League, and in the Europa League group, no big teams outside of Arsenal. So I don't know. Again, this list is just all kinds of interesting. But
yeah, we could talk for.
I'm going to keep unpacking it as we kind of go along here. I'll probably refer back to it at some point throughout the show. But look, guys, we're about 13 minutes in, so let's go ahead and get started. Episode was it 26 of Box to Box? And as usual, guys, we have our guests. We'll get to them here in a second. I am joined by one of our mainstay hosts today, Alina, aka GGSK. Thanks for being here, Alina. Andre's feeling a little under the weather, guys. We're recording towards the end of January. I'm expecting some of us to kind of be in and out with time of the year and whatnot. But the show must go on. And for today's show, look, I really can't hype these guys up enough. Boost Football, I think, is growing at an interesting rate. I think the content these guys put out, at a minimum from a production standpoint, is through the absolute roof. The stories that you guys are telling, I think at some point, every casual American fan out there is going to be hearing about them one way or another. But I'm super glad to have them both here on the show. We have Andrew Stewart and Jordan Presley of Boost Football on Box to Box today. Guys, welcome in. Thank you both so much for joining. How's life out on the East Coast right
now? It's kind of dreary.
It's that time of the year.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that introduction. That was super nice of you. Everything that you said. Thank you.
That was impressive. Very
happy to be on the show.
Super
glad to have you here, man. And look, I think, with Andrew, Jordan, look, however you guys, I know it's really kind of two of you here. We're all, recording this remotely. However you guys want to start answering some of these questions, it's totally up to you. But I think Alina and I are going to kind of jump in and ask, something whenever we see fit. As much as you're willing to tell us, great. I know there's some projects you guys are working on that are pretty cool that we may not be able to jump into today. That's totally okay. But just to kind of kick things off, I think some of our guests who are used to tuning in are probably ready for this question. And again, no wrong answers here, but I always start box to box this way. And I think it gives any new audience member, especially those who haven't heard of Boost Football before, to get a better idea of how you guys see yourself. So I don't care who goes first, but Andrew, Jordan, who are you guys today?
I can answer that real quick. It's a tough question. I'm sure everyone is a little stumped by it, but in the very like simplest terms, I think at the end of the day, me personally, at least right now, I feel like I'm just like a creator. I'm like making things that could be either handmade stuff I like to sew, and I like to make little bags and stuff. So I legit enjoy creating not just content, but also things that you can hold in
Anything.
your hand, and yeah, just about anything. So I like cooking food, like there's tons of different things. So I think to boil things down, I'd just say like I'm a creator and a maker. That's a good way to put it. So
I love that. Andrew, what about you, man?
Oh man, I feel like the older I get, the less I know about life, to be honest. So I feel like I'm trying to still figure out life, and it seems like that's what everyone is kind of doing at the same time. So right now, I'm attempting to be an entrepreneur alongside Jordan, also a creator, and trying to just extend my playing years for as long as I can to enjoy playing soccer for as long as I can.
true.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. So for me, it's just about eating the right things and getting proper rest, and understanding now also when you get older is like, all right, even if you want to go play that pickup game with your buddies, you're going to skip that one. So you'll have a better session in 2 days so you can recover. So yeah, creator like Prez, attempting to be an entrepreneur, and just trying to still be a player for as long as I can, I guess.
Love that, man. And look, I know that question is always, very open-ended. It really does. Like you guys said, it kind of depends on almost the era of life that you're in, right? The season of life that you're in. But I think you guys answered it perfectly. Creators, strong appreciation for the game, still trying to get a grasp on really kind of yourselves, right? Your own lives, what you guys have going on. But I think the one thing we all have in common, right, is that we want to see this game grow. And so, as most people have heard me say on this show time and time again, Box to Box, guys, it is presented by GOLZtv, GOLZ.tv, where you can find all of your free footy content available today for free. Go check it out. But the mission that we have here at GOLZtv, which is how I met you guys, Jordan and Andrew, this mission that we're on to grow not just the sport of soccer, right, which is really kind of vague and broad, but specifically a culture around this game. I think that's something that we all really, really vibed on hard when we first met, and have a lot of common ground with. So when we think about how I want this show to go today, I do want that to kind of be some of the essence that some of the audience is able to pull from this. But let's start at the very beginning, because I think that to me is probably, if anybody's going to check out Boost Football, I kind of want to know, I want the audience to know how you guys started and how it scaled into some of the stuff you guys create today, which I think is awesome. And we'll touch on some of those projects. But Jordan, Andrew, how did it all begin? Like, where did it start and how did it scale to what we know Boost Football to be today?
Yeah, I can start with that. So I played college soccer, and after college soccer, I got a job at HR payroll company, and I realized that I did not enjoy that.
What year was this, by the way? Just
what year did I start Boost or graduate?
Well, no,
college?
like if you're kind of painting this scene for us, right? Like, what was the time frame? Was it like 2010s? Was it
2015, I believe?
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So I got together with a buddy of mine who actually has a massive YouTube channel now, also related to soccer, and we started brainstorming this concept of, can we do something where we educate, coach people, and then also showcase the culture. I had previously never picked up a camera before in my life, and that was 3 years after I graduated college, and I just had an iPhone, and so I knew that I liked iPhone photography, but other than that, I had no experience. So I invested in a camera, and in my spare time, I just started shooting tutorials. And then my buddy that I was going to do it with, he ended up going to play pro in Australia, so he couldn't do it with me. But I just started shooting tutorials, and I started just paying my way to go to Iceland, Ireland, the UK, and just film match vlogs and interview coaches and such. So I was just doing that, kind of bootstrapping it. And that was, I had left the payroll HR company at the time. I went to work at a sports facility where I was doing managing their indoor soccer facility. I ended up getting hired by soccer.com. Did that for 3 years, managed the Nike brand there. And then Jordan and I were close friends we were working at the same company. And I said, hey man, like I showed him the work I had done previously and asked him if he wanted to help revive it with me. And we've been doing that now for over a year and a half now. So I really condensed it. So if you want to ask any other questions, or if Jordan wants to paint anything else there, I really squeeze it together.
No, you're good, man. That's great. Yeah, Jordan, from your side, man, I mean, what was kind of happening in your life at the time whenever Andrew first approached you?
Yeah, so it kind of started, it actually goes back a little bit before Andrew and I ever met. And this is actually a really funny story because at the time, this is 2015. No, this is 2016 actually. Mm-hmm. And because I graduated college and I played college soccer as well, Division III, small school in Michigan. And I got a job working with a brewing company, and I like traveled around the US. It was actually a pretty dope gig, if I'm being honest, looking back at it now. It was a really cool gig, and I was just working with beer and meeting a bunch of different people and stuff like that, seeing a lot of the US for the first time. And there was a moment in time where I was like, man, I really miss playing soccer. Like I would try to play pickup in these different areas, but I was only in a city for 3 or 4 days or something like that. So it wasn't a lot of time. And I would try to play some pickup here and there, and it was tough to find. There wasn't like an app or thing developed at the time. You kind of had to do like meetup and stuff like that. But anyways, I just realized, what can I do by myself? And I decided to try to get into freestyling a little bit, and just like, I could always just go in a parking lot wherever I was at, or at the hotel or something like that, and just do some freestyle stuff. And the funny thing is, and it was actually double funny because I was in Rochester, New York when I first stumbled across a video. It's called Football Freestyler 60-Day Challenge. And come to find out, it was actually a Boost Football video that I watched. And it was basically like a progression of like, if you spend 15, 20, 30 minutes a day on juggling, doing these tricks, like you'll be a good player, like a good freestyler. And I was like, you know what, this seems pretty cool. So the reason why I thought it was funny was in Rochester, because that's actually where Andrew's at. Full circle here. We moved down to soccer.com. We moved down to North Carolina, where we're at right now. And I'm getting a tour of the office, and I see this guy, and I'm like, because Andrew started a week before I did. And I see this guy, I'm like, this guy looks super familiar. Like, have I seen him before? And so we go on like a man date just to see, because he was like, hey, congrats on the job. And I was like, I didn't know I got the job, but awesome, cool. He's like, do we want to like go and grab some food just to see if we, like, I'm looking for a roommate, Andrew said. And I was like, yeah, let's try. So we went and got pizza. And that's when I told him, I was like, dude, like I was thinking about it, and I totally like have seen your videos, Boost Football, back in the day, because I was learning how to juggle, and I told him the whole story. So that's kind of like the genesis and the funny part of how Boost Football kind of integrated into my life well before I even started jumping onto this, endeavor with Andrew. And then, like he said, 3 years after soccer.com, him and I had decided to leave and kind of revamp the whole, Boost Football as a whole. So long story short,
dude, that's
so dope. Super funny,
that's
super
awesome.
funny how small the soccer community is at the end of the day. And I don't know. So really,
man, that's super dope. So what I'm getting out of all of this is soccer.com is where like true bromances are born.
Pretty much.
Honestly, yes. There's a heyday of some really good folks that we still chat and hang out with today and play pickup with, that kind of all those friendships formed there. So yes, doesn't always happen like that, but.
That's awesome. Okay, so really quickly, you mentioned the revival of Boost Football. So and maybe this is more of a question for Andrew, but Andrew, what was Boost Football originally intended to be, and what is it today?
I think I was trying to find a way to educate and then also to show the culture of the game, because I love everything. I love everything about soccer, to be honest. I love playing it. I love watching it. I love FIFA. I love going to check out new stadiums. Like, I would just, if I had the chance to, if someone's like, hey, all expenses paid, I'll let you go do a tour of the stadiums of the UK, I'd be like, yes. I don't even need to go watch a game. I'll go to Goodison Park. I'll go to Anfield. I'll go to even Emirates maybe. No, I'd rather go to Highbury. Highbury had more of an atmosphere for me, but I just love everything about the game. And so I think I was trying to like show that to other people. Like, hey, it's not just youth soccer, which is, US youth soccer is just notorious for people like crazy parents and just, it can be crazy. And I wanted to be like, hey, there's so much more to the game than just this, one game you're playing on a Saturday kind of thing. I think it's evolved a little bit more now to be more dialed in. It's more focused still on educating. I think there's still a massive gap over here in the US in terms of players being able to get high quality education, especially the fundamentals. You have to pay a lot of money for that. That's something that was a problem when I was growing up. I come from a family of 7. So we didn't have a ton of money. And so we would sell chocolate bars and go pick strawberries and blueberries. It sounds like a woe is me story, but we were having the time of our lives, to be honest. But we would go work and save up money so we could go play for our good clubs in the area. And it's still a problem today. So that's something that we're trying to tackle. Jordan and I love to be able to show the game, teach the fundamentals. And then we're also trying to inspire/empower our audience as well by interviewing people that have done a lot in the game or currently are pros in the game and getting their insight to kind of tell exactly how it is if someone has ambitions of going on to a higher level. So we're dialing it more in. Like I still love telling those cultural stories if I can. Like, we went to Charlotte FC, let us have access to their stadium for their home opener. I love showing that and showing the energy.
That video is awesome, by the way. I think we should try to find a way to show it a little bit more, maybe even in this video, like snapshots of it maybe. But yeah. That vlog, man, every part of it, from the train in the beginning to like seeing the crowd come all together in that stadium, which I remember that week, people talking about it, like nationally, can they do it, right? Can they actually sell it out and have the biggest match ever in terms of attendance? I didn't know. I was kind of skeptical, but I guess Charlotte's out here, man. I don't know. I haven't been to that part of the country and really kind of embedded myself in the soccer community just yet.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. But yeah, that was an insane day. That was like I think we got up at 7 a.m. and got back by like 2 a.m. Yeah. That was a wild day, but that was a blast. But yeah, I mean, we've dialed in more. Like, we're focusing more on educating and then sharing stories, real stories of athletes, so that people have a good understanding of like what their dreams might look like and the kind of effort they have to put out. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Well, let me go one step further too with Boost today. So, like, if a new person was just discovering you guys, like, what is Boost? Is it an app? Is it is it a website? What can they go out there and grab and see regarding Boost Football today, and what are they going to get out of it?
Right now, it's just free content. To be honest, we are trying to build an audience in order to activate on them and eventually be able to sell affordable education. So that's kind of the goal, and we're working towards that. Can't say much about it, but we're getting closer and closer to that goal. So right now we just want to educate people. We're seeing a ton of success on TikTok and Pinterest. People will be asking us questions about how to have a better first touch or what are some dribbling drills that they can work on, and we'll engage with those questions and make content specifically answering those questions, and people seem to love it. And eventually we want to be able to point them to something to say like, hey, if you have questions, it all lives here. So that's kind of what we're working towards right now. It exists solely as kind of like a content creator accounts across social media. So
Yeah. But you guys are on what right now? Is it's basically all socials, YouTube included?
yes,
Yep.
absolutely.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Got it. No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. And look, when it comes to Boost Football, guys, that's how really we met. I reached out to Andrew after seeing some of the videos, and it wasn't just the training stuff. For me, the culture stuff really spoke to me. And I imagine you guys probably get this all the time. I feel like you guys capture a unique lens of American soccer that almost makes it it makes it so you feel like there is some kind of culture here that doesn't have to stem from the quality of the league, right? Which is how a lot of other leagues and other countries build up their fandom for their players, for their league is by the quality of it, right? So the Premier League obviously gets the most out there, but I think
Right.
Europe's leagues rely upon a similar model. I feel like you guys have such a unique storytelling capability that I don't know. It almost just I'm okay with the quality being what it is here because of how good the storytelling really is. But with that said, I mean, are there any cool stories you guys can share? I mean, well, let me ask you this: what's the coolest project you guys have done to date that you can actually talk about? And I'll ask each of you. Maybe you guys have a different story. Let's start with Jordan.
That's a good question. I think to also like piggyback off of, and this, I'm going to bring this all together, but piggyback off of what Andrew is kind of talk about the education and the inspiration part of Boost. That's just for me personally, that's like, we obviously want to be doing that just to get our name out there and to like get people to be excited about it. But, we are small. It's just Andrew and I, and, we're trying to have funds to do certain things and, talk to different clients and get projects off the ground. But ideally, I think what we would love to be doing is doing some more of those culture stories. Those come out of pocket from us a majority of the time. So that's few and far between because of that. But to bring it back to your original question, I think one of my favorite stories was when we went up to New York City and we just did like it was 2021. So not last year, but 2021. Like in July, we did like what's a weekend look like a weekend of footy in New York City. And basically we literally walked across the entire, like almost all the boroughs, not quite, but almost all the boroughs. It felt like at least three.
That's
of them
insane.
We're in Manhattan and Brooklyn. And then, we went out to like Randall Island, and we tried to just like encapsulate as best as we possibly could in 1 week and what it looks like Tier 5, just this small little group called Secret Football. We tried to see what they've been going on. I've been following them forever. And it seems like New York City has this cultural hub that there's bound to be just cool, interesting stories that soccer has in store there, So we knew some people and we decided to just like make the trek up there and tell a full weekend. And it was everything I ever wanted. Like a little caveat to the story, like we were actually going to go shoot at this one field called like Ronaldo Field or something like that. And there was like a Hispanic league happening and we have our camera equipment, stuff like that. We're like, oh shoot, like we can't be here. And then just this kid walks up. He's like, hey, do you guys want to play? And I looked at Andrew and I was like, bro, we're in New York City. Like this is what it's all about. Like we're not just Boost Football making videos and just like, we're not just like we got to enjoy it too. You got to fill the well. So I was like, this is it. So we put on these like Atletico jerseys and went out and played. And it was just the coolest thing ever. I felt like we got the full New York City. That never made it in the video because obviously we were playing, but I wish it could, I wish there was something we could have captured or had someone there. But that, for me, to answer your question, that was like the coolest thing that we've done so far. And I can only imagine what it is like in LA. Like I'd love to do that in Miami or, Dallas or, Kansas City or something. But anyways, I just thought that was so cool. That was so much fun. What an amazing weekend,
That's awesome, man.
That's
I'll save you the
awesome,
trouble of Dallas, though. By the way, it's just hot. It's just hot, bro. That's it. That's all you got to worry about. It's hot and flat. I mean, that's what pickup games are like here.
Sure.
Andrew. So, I mean, again, just to piggyback off of what Jordan said. I mean, is there anything you wanted to add from your side?
Yeah, you guys can't see it right now, but I'm showing the picture of us after the game in our kits. They gave us jerseys, shorts, socks. We were completely
that is so dope.
we were completely kitted out. So yeah, it
and
was
none
great.
of it made into the video.
No, we couldn't, because we were literally, like Jordan said, we were on our way to shoot like a subject of the video, and they were running late, and then the field that we were shooting them on was supposed to be that field, so they had to find a new field, and then so we were just sitting there, and the guy's like, "Do you guys play soccer?" And we're like, "Yes," and he's like, "Can you play?" And we're like, "Yeah, we'll play." So it was great. It was amazing. It was like a whole festival there. People were selling snow cones and food, and they threw us Gatorade bars. Like they asked if we wanted to join the team. Like we were like, we wish.
I see the jerseys, dude. You guys are fully kitted. Holy.
I just texted it to him, Prez.
It was sick. It was so cool. Like I said, that was just one of those moments where it was just like, dude, this is what it's all about, you know?
Yeah.
It's what it's all about.
This was summer, right?
Yeah. July 2021, yeah.
So even hot, you know, in New York at that time, but
yeah, it looked like it was hot.
And we had just gotten done
awesome.
playing an hour previously. We were playing street football with Street FC. So we had literally gone from the west side of Manhattan, walked like 2 miles, got in a subway, went over to Brooklyn, and then played with these guys, full kits, and then played with Secret. So we played probably like 4 hours that day, and then walked across, like Fred said, all the boroughs. So we were gassed, but it was a wild ride. It was a great trip.
That's
Did you guys play a specific position, or just all over?
It was 8v8 or 6v6, I think. So it was kind of, they're kind of rotating position wise.
One guy was like, he's like, go up, score some goals. We need some goals. So I literally tried my best, but I was unsuccessful.
Bro. But still, man, like going to New York and just jumping in. I always compare it like, you know, when I used to, this is long years ago, when I used to go to like Mexico with my parents, right? Like it's to this day, I always complain that we come back home to the States and you never get this where you could just be walking around. And this is how we got approached. I was still a kid. I was like 10, 11 years old. You're walking around and these kids just like, I saw even some kids just having like, remember those snap-on pants, like those athletic pants that you could just rip off?
Yeah. Ready to
that's
go
what
in a minute's
the
notice.
kids would do. Yeah, bro. Like they were walking around in like either indoor shoes or cleats and shorts underneath. And like at a moment's notice, if somebody wanted to play a pickup game, they just like tear them off and just start playing.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling so depressed in that moment because I wasn't ready. Because I wasn't ready like these kids were.
You didn't have the
and I
pants.
didn't have anything ready to go. Yeah, man, I gotta have the pants. That's right. That's where I messed up. Okay, so the New York trip, and I've seen that video. We'll link it down below in the description. It's an awesome video. Andrew, is there anything from your side, project-wise, that was just super dope to work on?
I'll actually go back to my soccer.com days. We had one, there's so many, honestly, that were a lot of fun. We did a shoot with Tyler Adams that I absolutely loved. I thought Leipzig, this was when he was still at Red Bull Leipzig, is a really cool little city. It's, I think, where Mozart was from, or was it Beethoven? I can't remember, but the culture was cool there. Tyler Adams is just a fantastic human being. The scale of what we were trying to produce in only a short amount of time was immense, and the final video looked really good. We were so proud of ourselves for the work that we did. So that was up there with one of my favorites.
Dude, what was Tyler Adams like?
He was just like hanging out with one of your bros, like just the most down to earth guy, honestly. And like almost like he was so nice that it was like he was the one that was trying to go pro. Like he was the one that could get something out of us. And it was like, no, we're getting something out of you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was just like, so nice to meet you guys. He literally he was a little late because, and this has nothing to do with his character, he was late because he would ride his bike to training from his apartment. So he was like, sorry, like I got, like the wind was like making his eyes water. He had to go get a scarf or something and he had to come back. So he literally commuted to training on a on a bike, which is just like, how more down to earth can you be? I feel like.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like a bicycle, not a motorbike, a bicycle.
February in Leipzig is like
In
what?
Leipzig.
Like how? Compare it to something here. I have no reference.
It's like
New
maybe
York.
yeah,
oh,
pretty
in
cold,
winter?
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely
Jeez.
winter.
It's in the
Definitely
north.
chilly.
It's in the north of Germany, like near Berlin, which is like if you look at the latitude lines, it's kind of close to like where New York is
Mhm.
on in the Earth. So yeah, it was really cold.
Dude, that's awesome though. You guys got to do it. So Tyler Adams, that interview that's not on your channel, is it?
No, that was specifically for soccer.com when we were still there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Mm.
And you guys recently just did something else for soccer.com.
Yeah, we
Yes.
did the USA jersey launch. So that was for the Nike kits. Nike and soccer.com collaborated together in terms of marketing dollars and pitching athletes and stuff like that. And then they brought us on to basically do the entire creative production for it. And that was a wild ride too, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I saw you guys while you were traveling a little bit. I mean,
Oh yeah,
like,
we met up with
yeah.
you in Dallas.
yeah, we met up while you guys were touring. While you guys were touring, I love that.
Pretty much.
To be honest,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's no other way. So walk us through that trip, bro. To me,
Yeah.
I was so jealous when we met up and you guys told me what you guys were doing and like how like spread out it was. So, I mean, talk about the trip for a second, right? Like you guys mentioned what you guys were doing. You're on this this kit tour. How many cities? How long did it span? Is there a city that stood out most to you?
Jordan, your tag team, it's your turn to talk.
Sure. Yeah. So basically, that's kind of the other side of Boost. That's maybe not like, forward facing as we, Andrew and I have obviously worked for soccer.com and doing creative for other, on the behalf of Nike, Adidas, Pumas and stuff and Puma like that, all those different brands. And so we obviously are well versed in creating content for, other companies or products or stuff like that. Boost is obviously, like I said, we try to make videos that are applicable to, the greater soccer audience that either features myself or Andrew or, one day, hopefully a Tyler Adams of some sorts. But anyways, so, Nike and Adidas or Nike and soccer.com approached us and we're like, hey, we need to tell these stories across the US. Can we think of like some major global or not global, but US markets that we can tell these stories at? And so really, Andrew and I kind of sat down. We're like, who do we know in these cities that we've worked with or we want to work with in these areas? And soccer.com had a couple clubs that really big clubs they wanted us to work with in particular. And so we're like, all right, we got to do Chicago. That's like a given. We got to do Dallas because we know Hudson Hawks sits down there. He's a little baller. Like he needs to be featured in this. And then we did Houston. And we're like, all right, we got to do LA. And then we obviously have to do New York City. And then in between that, Nike was like, hey, we're going to give you access to Sophia Smith, who's she plays for the Portland Thorns.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, we can get you access on Nike HQ and you can do an interview up there and feature her in it. And so we're like, sick, let's like get after it. And then lastly, we were trying to find a US men's national team player to highlight. And initially it was like, can we work with Clint Dempsey? And then because he is in North Carolina at the moment. And basically we were like, yo, let's do Charlie Davies. And Charlie Davies is the man. So we flew up to Boston literally we were in and out for like a day and shot the kind of the tail end of the whole series of like showing the kit, traveling from, portion to country or from city to city across the US, basically a coast to coast type of campaign, and shot with Charlie Davies. And he was so awesome, so cool. And that kind of rounded out the video. So that was the general aspect of the entire campaign and project.
Dude, I'm so jealous. Just hearing you talk through all of that, so jealous. I remember Andrew sending me a video when you guys were actually in Portland. I can't remember. I'm pulling it up on my phone right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to see what he got a shot of in the background. Yeah, there's like a feel at Nike headquarters. And yeah, there's a big poster with a bunch of Nike athletes. Cristiano's on the very front of it, but there's like other sports athletes that are referenced on it too. I could see Jordan in the background with the goals. That's a dope video, man. I mean, seriously, it sounds like all in all, was it a few weeks long?
Oh my gosh. It was supposed to be like a month tops, but we had to build in a couple extra days because there's there were shipping delays and stuff, manufacturing wise, because logistically companies are still getting back on track from COVID.
Yeah.
So we were like trying to manage that too, like samples, and so we'd have to stay somewhere to receive stuff, and I think it ended up being like a 6 to 8 week kind of thing. It was wild,
Wow.
actually.
Yeah, we were only maybe in different areas for about 3 weeks in terms of production total, but the span of the whole project was, to Andrew's point, about 6 to 8 weeks in terms of like the moment we shot the video to the moment where we started delivering.
Well, week 4 we
final
still had to go
deliverables.
out to Portland, and then week 5 we went to Boston.
Oh, that's right. And I went to
Then you
I
went to
shot
New
it.
York.
I went to New York and New Jersey technically to shoot Gotham, some footage of Sophia Smith playing in the last NWSL season
Dude,
match
that's
against
so
Gotham.
That's so cool.
So see, again, when you're living like that, it's like you're in the moment. I tell people you're in the moment and you're just like everything's just happening, and then it's dissipating. So you're like making memories because you're like capturing them, but you're kind of forgetting all the things you're doing because you're like, where are we going to park? Where are we going to live? Where are we going to Airbnb? How are we going to get there? Like all these questions are running. How are we going to pull this off? It's just super bizarre, but it's a fast lifestyle, but it's really fun to do, at least for like a couple weeks out of the year.
Yeah, it is. When you're done with it, like the creative process in the middle of that is absolutely draining. Like from the outside looking in, like if I, on my Instagram story, if I post like, I'm in New York City, I'm in Boston, I'm in this, I'm in that, it looks like, wow,
Yep.
This dude's like living the life. But when you like in the day, like the days that you're living, it's like you're working like 10, 12-hour days, honestly, because you have to shoot so much to make sure you get what you need. You have to cover so much ground in cities to get, like, if you're trying to get a setting shot for LA, you got to go to here and to there and to the coast and traffic. And then every spot, we were only there for like 3 days, max. So you're in a new time zone constantly. You're renting a car, dropping it off, like getting caught in traffic. And yeah, it's like, it technically should be fun, right? It's like, you just got to go across all of America. But the whole time you were like, you're on, like you're shooting stuff constantly and you're planning for the next stop as well. So by the time it's done, you're like, oh my goodness, that was a ride. It's exhausting.
I will say though, the highlight of the trip was when we stopped in Dallas and got to meet face to face with you, Jose. So
Thanks, brother. I appreciate that,
awesome.
man. It was fun. It was, I felt like, well, one, it was just great to connect in person. Like that's always great when we've only
100%.
ever had video calls. Like, nothing beats in person. But yeah, I will say like it was cool. And just to hear that, okay, what are you guys doing? You guys are touring. You're doing all this stuff for soccer.com. You're going to have a call with them, later to check in on some stuff. Like, I don't know. In my mind, what I was thinking then and probably thinking a little bit right now too, is how did you guys get here, land roles like this? I will say like most people who think about working, dream careers, right? Trying to be in the sport they love for as long as they possibly can be after playing, probably would want to have, I would say, a setup like you guys have career wise, right? Like, I don't know. I think this could be a good question to answer for the
Sure.
show today. I mean, how did you guys get to working for soccer.com? Like if someone were to ask you, hey, I want to do what you do. I want to be a creative who gets to, embrace soccer every single day as part of their job. What would you tell them in terms of a starting point?
For me,
Andrew, go for it.
okay. For me, I would just say, I think that there's we did an interview with Brianna Pinto yesterday. She was ranked, drafted 3rd overall in the NWSL in 2021. Phenomenal player, great human. And she said, and other players that we've interviewed have always said that the path to pro is never, what did she say? Like a linear line, like a straight line.
Yep.
It's up, down, sideways. It's never the timeline you think. It doesn't look exactly like it does in your mind. And I think that's even more so true with kind of these like weird jobs that are not very defined, like a doctor or a lawyer, or things that you can get specific technical training on. This kind of job, you could go to like a film school, or you could, you know, be enrolled in some sort of creative program. That wasn't the case with me. I didn't even think I was creative. I'd tell this to everyone, especially if they asked that kind of question that you just did, Jose, that like up until I was 21, 22, I thought I was straight up like a completely analytical person, non-creative at all. I think that that's not true, though. I learned that many of us, most, like pretty much everyone, does have creativity in them. It's just life has kind of directed that one way or the other, and they haven't had a chance to explore it. So my answer to that is, it's not a very, for most people, it's not going to be a path where you're like, give me the 5-step plan. If I could tell anyone, it would be, you have to do a ton of the work that you want to do. You just have to go and do it yourself. Don't ask for permission. Don't ask for forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Don't ask for permission. Ask for forgiveness. Just do the work that you want to see done in the world. And when people see that, like, what you can do and your vision, they'll start to believe you. Unfortunately, words are cheap. And so you have to be able to back that up with kind of like an example of what you want to do. So that's what happened with me. I just was paying for it out of pocket. I learned how to use the camera myself off of YouTube and started shooting the work that I wanted to see. And someone from soccer.com reached out and said, hey, like, we really like your work. They started sharing a couple photos that I took. They shared it on their Instagram, and they said, Nike Football is looking to partner with us to hire this very specific job, kind of like a brand management content producer role that would sit in-house at soccer.com. Would that interest you? And of course, like you said what you guys do sounds like kind of the dream gig. And I was on cloud 9 when they asked me that. And so of course I took the job. And I did that for 3 years. And then you just keep testing things and trying things, and you just follow that kind of similar path where you don't really ask for permission. I think you have to be willing to test things out and show what you're capable of. So yeah.
That's awesome. Jordan, what about you?
Yeah, I would probably say obviously all those, same thing that Andrew's talking about. And I think it kind of all starts also with just like the passion that you have towards anything. And for us, it's always been soccer. Like to Andrew and I, we both played soccer our whole lives and all the way up into college. And if we could have played professionally or semi-pro somewhere, I'm sure we would have tried to do that, if we could make it, ends meet. However, that just wasn't the case. It wasn't in our timelines. But that being said, I took a step away after college. I worked with my dad. He's a general contractor, and I had no idea like what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to like make videos and stuff like that. I just didn't know, like I didn't have a portfolio of work to do that. So I worked with him for a year, and then I like bagged groceries for like a half a year. And then I did the beer tour thing, like I talked about. And at some point you just like, there's something within you that says, I want to get back to this, or I want to I want to explore this a little bit more. And I think it's always having that, like that child's play of like, can I just have fun with this? Can I enjoy this? That's what I'm doing with bag making and other things. It's just always being willing to like try new things and to see if things can work. So for me, that's what happened with soccer. And I was like, I want to figure out how to get back into soccer. Like, I'm not a good coach. I don't think I'm a good coach. So like, check that one off the list. It's definitely not it. Like, I can do videos, but I'm not like good at like showing training stuff necessarily, which is kind of where Andrew comes in with the whole Boost Football aspect. And I've learned a lot over the years as well. But what if I like shot videos for other people? And so I always had a camera in my hand growing up, so I always knew I could do some video stuff, and I just didn't know how to make that dream a reality. And so I just thought, hey, let's just give it a shot. At that time, after the brewing company gig, I did like social media stuff and did videos for them. So I felt like I had enough portfolio work to apply for the soccer.com gig. And sure enough, one little caveat, I made my resume look like a FIFA profile, and maybe I'll have to share that somehow. So
dude, that's so dope. You have to share that.
Yeah, I've been wanting to share it somehow in some fashion to some people, but I wanted to stand out. My whole thing was like, hey, if I'm willing to like I'm going to design this thing, which I'm not a graphic designer, but I've got enough background in it to like know kind of what I want. And I was like, hey, if I can at least start a conversation, they might have already hired someone, but if I can at least put my foot in the door and say, what is this? What, like, look at this thing this guy did. And that, like, I want to at least talk to him, you know? So that was my whole point of like, I'm going to make this resume look like this, look like I know exactly what I'm talking about. Personally, I don't play a lot of FIFA, so I had to reach out to a bunch of friends who were like, hey, does this look like FIFA oriented? but anyways, that's kind of how it started. So long story short, I think you just have to have that type of that passion for it, and it's got to be almost unwavering to the point where you don't want to like give up on it. You're just like, hey, I'm going to keep doing this and keep doing this. And that's how we landed the soccer.com Nike gig. You know, we just like believed in the vision that we had, and we'd never done anything remotely close to it, you know, but we said, hey, like, I think we could pull this off. Do you think Nike and soccer.com will trust us to do this? And sure enough, they did. And here we are. So
dude, that's awesome. I love that. Guys, that's wildly powerful. And you know what? I think I want to kind of complete the trifecta here.
Sure.
So I think it'll be important. Alina, you're a pro FIFA player, creator. I think for your sake too, right? We're talking about, you know, the question of, you know, how do you start something like this? How do you go down a path of being where you are now? I think a lot of people out there, girls especially, right? Because it's so seldom that you see female content creators break into FIFA when it's such a widely male dominated space, but then also become a pro, right? So I mean, I don't know. I feel like, you know, like Jordan mentioned and Andrew mentioned, it's not linear. The path kind of goes up and down, takes you a million different ways. I mean, like, is there, I don't know, if someone asked you, hey, how do I start? How do I get on the path becoming a pro FIFA player? What would you tell them?
Oh man, I would say a very similar thing of the path not being linear, because everyone has their own life story, and especially their own path into pro FIFA game. Because for me, I started, as you guys know, like I've been playing like football games since I was a kid, but specifically FIFA, I had to get smacked in a couple, you know, professional tournaments. I won a few, came in second in a few. I've even had like tournaments where I've gotten knocked out of the first round. So it's definitely up and down, and I would say the key is finding that consistency and just sticking with it.
Yeah, not wavering whenever things get tough, and they will. I mean, I can only imagine how competitive, you know, well, FIFA is, of course, for you, Alina. But then I'm thinking back to like, you know, Andrew's, you know, dream moment when Nike and Soccer.com come knocking, and it's like, how competitive was it for them, right? To feel like Andrew might have been the right guy versus other creatives who are putting stuff together in the broader landscape. You know, it's consistency and work ethic are super important, but I think you know, standing out in a way that Jordan did can't be ignored either, man. This is all great. I love that we were able to extract this value from the episode. Let me ask you guys real quick before we wrap up. We're getting close here. With just on a personal note, for what I know and what I've heard you guys say today, Andrew's a Manchester United fan, Jordan's a Chelsea fan. What happens when those two play? Like, you guys are pretty close. How does this work in that household?
Every once in a while, Press, have we even gotten together to watch a game where they play each other?
I don't think we have, like, in terms of. No, I don't think we have. Actually.
No, I think that usually we're just, well, it's usually me, because Prez is just like a really nice guy, and I'll be chirping him a little bit.
Sounds like you.
Yeah. But I for me, like, Prez is not your typical Chelsea fan. I feel like Chelsea fans are a little bit more snobby. And do you know what I'm talking about?
A little bit. It was worse, like in the how do I say this? Like the in the Abramovich days, maybe the Mourinho era. Yeah, that's probably
he brought
Mourinho
it
era at any club is always bad.
I love the guy, honestly.
Yeah, I do too. He brings some entertainment, but you think about like the Real Madrid Mourinho era or the Chelsea Mourinho era, or hell, even take what Roma's going through. I just think there's always headlines and it's always interesting.
Yeah. So sure. I think to be honest, I have other friends that are Chelsea fans, and we've had more headbutting than Prez and I. I think we keep it a little civil because we're friends and business partners. So it'll just be usually a couple back and forths. But we equally agree that Pulisic needs to get more minutes, so we're like unified on that front.
Yeah.
I think he needs to go somewhere. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, he needs to leave.
And just...
He needs playing time.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen in January, unfortunately. I don't think so anyway. But well, I don't know. We'll see. Either way, it is pretty cool to see that you guys were united by this really cool thing that we all love, right? Soccer, the beautiful game. But just completely different backgrounds, completely different, not completely different skill sets, but still very differing skill sets, which is why you guys work together so well. Anything, I kind of want to give you guys the floor here before we get close to wrapping. I mean, you guys have done so much in terms of helping to grow the game here, whether it's on your own or through the lens of soccer.com. I mean, what's next for Boost Football? Like, you guys are growing this thing. Obviously, you have a very vested stake in helping players develop and helping to tell stories. Like, what's the next thing that people should be keeping an eye on from Boost Football?
I think, like Jordan mentioned, like it all starts from a place of passion and like the love of the game. And passion sometimes is the fuel that you have to run off of when you're not traveling across America and it seems like you're killing it. So once again, the path isn't linear. You just have to wake up, every day and do this thing, set the goals and reach for them. Right now we're trying to, finally get our minimum viable product out the door, which we're really excited about, which is that kind of education piece. So yeah, it's just continuing to let that passion fuel us, try to provide value to people, help move the needle forward for soccer, but especially US soccer.
Yeah, awesome. Jordan?
Yeah, to echo that, I think at the end of the day, if Boost Football can, I know it's cliche to say when everyone's like, if it could just change one person's life or something, I think if we can just have just build a community at the end of the day, if we could just build a community of people who are excited, Jose, that's how we kind of met and have done some stuff with goals, it's just finding like-minded individuals and working with cool people and just building cool things at the end of the day for me. Like, I think my well will always be filled, and I think Boost Football will always have something to lean into if we can just, there's a plethora of amazing soccer stories throughout the entire US that are just hidden gems ready to be unearthed. And I cannot wait to find those and to tell those and to bring those to light, can we do a Wrexham, FC type of thing to the American game? Can we follow a small podunk club in America? And just to your point, Jose, at the beginning of this was like, just shine light on it, because people are going to grasp onto it. Like, why do Americans care so much about a national team, Wrexham FC? It's because there's been so much social media and light shined on it. We can do the same thing here in America.
Yeah. Because the stories are relatable, man. I think more than anything else, like you want to root for a team like that because of the stories that are being told by that team, right? And by their very visible owners. But I will also say, like I think that's what you guys are doing with Boost Football. For me, the educational stuff is always needed. Players always need to elevate their game, especially here in this country where we feel like they could take a step up. But the stories that you guys tell, man, I hope, even if the educational piece becomes very big and that becomes a very primary focus for you guys, me speaking selfishly, I kind of always hope that the stories never stop, that they always continue to be told from the lens of Boost Football. I feel like it's something that you guys do so well that I hope we keep getting more of it. And speaking of cool things, before we wrap up, Alina, I just shared with you the Jordan Prez PDF, the resume. It's pretty good, man.
That is amazing. I when you were talking about it in terms of a FIFA style, I didn't expect the literal Ultimate Team card and attribute. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I love
pretty
it.
sweet.
I love it.
That would have stood out to me if I'm looking at the at the applications. I see this. I'm like, huh, interesting. It's definitely a showstopper. That's
Yeah,
That's
the
all I wanted.
creativity, chemistry, cameras. That's just genius. I love that.
I
For a
appreciate
fact,
it.
the creative director called me in. I was a week into the job, and she was like, "Remember that guy that just came through? Like, because everyone liked him. He did a good job in the interview." She was like, "Check out his resume." And I was like, "Wow, like, what's his video work like? Because if it's anything like that, like, we should need to hire this guy." They're on the verge of hiring another guy, and they gave him the job. Like, they were on like almost ready to give it to him, and they brought him in because it was so good. So, yeah, it's
You
worth it
crushed
to
it,
put in
man.
extra work.
There
The
you
Booze
go.
football story almost didn't get told.
Yeah.
That is very
Almost
true.
didn't
Wow.
happen.
Wow.
We all owe it to an ultimate card, FIFA Ultimate.
Yeah, to an ultimate team card, man. That's what did it. Jordan, you crushed it, man.
I appreciate it.
Well, look, guys, this was great. I'm sure we'll have you guys on for another episode because I think there's a lot more to unpack. And look, as things come up, as your future projects continue to kind of become a little more of a reality, I would love to have you guys back on and talk about them more. But I love that we got your backstory and at least some pointers for anybody who's looking to jump into this space. It's still very young. It's still very much budding as a collective community. But I think we all want to see soccer grow the right way, and it just starts with us having these conversations. So, Andrew, Jordan, thank you both so much for joining today. I appreciate it. As usual, Alina, thank you for being here. And guys, as always, again, Box to Box presented by GOLZtv. We had a great time bringing you this story, and we're excited for the next one. We'll see you next time.